it's Kristen. Now, before we drop in today's episode, I wanted to tell you about something really fun, and it's happening this week. Natalie and I are both doing our Black Friday sales, and there's so much goodness inside of these. Now, first, Natalie has created this incredible Black Friday booking bundle for actors. She's made 7 brand new masterclasses. Like, it's truly some of her best work yet. And it's all designed to help you book with more ease, more confidence, and more flow. It's over $350 of value. And here's the wild part. You get the whole bundle for free when you save your spot in the January round of her 2% booking method with a $500 deposit. And because it's Natalie and is extra generous, she's also giving you a free month of her brand new script analysis GPT. It's honestly like having a 24/7 acting coach in your pocket. It breaks down any script in under a minute. It is so cool. So if you want in on that, just email her at natalielynroy@gmail.com and she'll send you all the magic. That's Natalie, NATALIELYNNROY. And then it's my Purple Friday portal. Why Purple Friday? Because I can make it any color I want it to be. I'm offering 3 beautiful bundles this year. They're pathways for writers and storytellers who are ready to reconnect with their voice, get some clarity, and go all in on their next chapter. Each bundle comes with sessions with me, my full writing course, and my anti-sabotage spellbook. So you can choose the bundle that matches where you are on your creative journey. And if you want to peek at all the details, you can just head to the link that's in the show notes, or you can come find me on Instagram and look at my bio, and I'll point you to everything. All right, loves, that's it. Let's get into the episode.
Podcast time.
Yeah, podcasting. It's happening. It's happening now.
Happening right now. The
Hmm.
moment we've been waiting for.
Thank goodness.
We've been such busy girls running around doing dreams. I had something I can't wait to tell you about.
Wait, I want to hear all about it.
Thought you would. Okay. So I was having a coffee the other day with a friend who's an actress who lives out of town, who was in New York, and we got together for a coffee. And all of a sudden, she starts telling me, she said, "Do you know that I do deep sea diving?" I was like, "No, I didn't know that about you. That's so amazing." And then she tells me this. And as soon as she says the words, I'm like, this is a deeply profound message. And this is why we're having coffee today. She said, "Yeah. And recently I had like a near-death experience with diving." And she said, "I had to make an emergency ascension." And I was like, "An emergency ascension? Tell me more." This is where I know it's a spiritual lesson. And she said, so basically, if you get down and there's any kind of issue or there's any kind of problem, there's a protocol for how you ascend in an emergency. Of like, tell me everything. So she said, the first thing you have to do is look up and open your heart, and then you start singing. I'm like, got it. And she said, there's a reason that you sing because it's basically moving the air out of your lungs or in your lungs and circulating it in a certain way. I'm like, got it, got it. Look up, look at where you want to go, open your heart, start singing. Got it. This is how you make an emergency ascension. And then she said, you have to slowly move your feet and just go on the ride.
Oh,
Because,
yeah.
like, if you start moving your feet too fast, then you'll basically like eliminate yourself on the way up. You have to not try to get out of the discomfort. You got to surrender to the fact that you're right where you are. You open your heart, you look up, you start singing, and you just slowly take whatever is your next step to take, one little step, one little paddle at a time. And
Gently.
that, ladies and gentlemen, is how you make an emergency ascension. And I was like, if there was ever a moment in life where it felt like we were in emergency situation and we needed to make an ascension, I think we're in it.
Yeah, and I love the gentleness of that. I like that there's like no sudden movements.
No
It's
sudden
not like
movements, not
big
frenetic,
action.
not
Yeah.
big action, not too fast. And you stay utterly in trust that the discomfort, which is, I got to get out of this water,
Yeah.
is that the water will help you if you just go slow.
Ooh, yes, please.
Does that feel so good?
Yeah, all I want to do is go slow.
It's that feeling that I do think some of what we've been taught is when there is something that doesn't feel good. And I'm not talking about intolerable things, you know,
Right.
I'm not talking about staying in a traumatic situation where there's an opportunity to leave said situation and take healthy care of yourself. But I'm talking about there's like a discomfort of my own upgrade. There's a discomfort of the up level I'm in. There's a discomfort as I'm in my evolutionary process of going to my own next level. There's feelings that I'd rather not feel. There's curriculum I'd rather not face. Inside those moments, it's like the more we push it away, the more we wish it was different, the more we wish it wasn't there. It's like we fight against it.
Hmm.
For it, like the ocean or the water in this scenario we're talking about, it can be the thing that actually is supporting your ascension. You can't ascend without it, but you can't fight against it. You got to work with it, you know? And I think that's the thing of, ooh, I don't want to feel this. How can I avoid it? How can I get into avoidance? How can I get into doing anything but? How can I get into workaholism or whatever I can get into to like not feel that thing? But it's like that very thing is your ally. If you can be with it in a way that moves with it, not against it.
Oh, that's so good. I was just listening to this podcast on anxiety, and this man was talking about his lifelong um, relationship with severe anxiety and how he was always taught to fight against that anxiety. Um, and what started to change is when he realized that his anxiety was there for him, and that there was something that was in his body that was intelligent that was trying to communicate to him. And I think that is very true of what happens when we start to trust where we are and even trust the discomfort and its signals is having loving information for us,
Mm,
you know?
very much so. I do feel that there is such a misunderstanding of things wrapped up in like conversations around depression or anxiety or those kinds of things. There feels like there's such a, again, there's a problem to solve. Let's make that go away. Or we define ourselves as less than or problematic or broken or defective because we're experiencing these things, as opposed to being like, oh yeah, those are human things. Those are human things. And maybe changing our relationship to the thing itself is all that's required. Or this isn't a signal of my defectiveness. This is a this is a way that I've learned to protect myself, or this is a way that I've learned to give myself information that maybe I've outgrown, or maybe I'd like to change, or maybe I would like to have a new relationship with, but to sort of take the labels off of it and to take the like the feelings of shame, I think, even around it. That, you know, I sometimes, you know, I teach mindset with actors and artists and creatives all the time. And it sometimes feels like those are the things that we shy away from wanting to say or wanting to talk about. But as soon as someone starts talking about it, it's just a room full of people saying, yeah, me too.
Yeah, me too. Yeah. The courage to be authentic around our pain, our discomfort, the things that aren't working, so that we realize, oh yeah, that it's a universal thing, right? There's no shame in that. There's something that's just calling out to communicate, to be in conversation.
And doesn't it feel silly, like if the water is the discomfort we just want to get out of, right? And
Yeah.
we all have our version of the discomfort we want to get out of, the stuff we don't want to feel, the stuff we don't like, the stuff we don't want to look at. Doesn't it feel silly that we're in water, surrounded by other people in water, all pretending we're not in water?
Yeah, yeah,
And trying to build lives and perceptions of ourselves on social media. It's like, well, I don't know what you're talking about. I have no water in my life. I'm great over here.
yeah.
And doesn't that create the bigger issue of this like profound loneliness and separation?
Separation, that word, right? That like someone else has the key to something and I don't, right? So then the shame occurs. And
Mm,
often what can be seen in family systems is don't talk about the thing that's uncomfortable. Don't look at the thing that doesn't feel good. Sweep that under the rug. And so we get this message that the parts of me that are acceptable are the parts that I'm allowed to show. And then there
mm,
are these other things that are kind of like off limits. They don't
mm.
want to be seen. They're too much, they're uninvited to the party.
Yeah.
Yeah.
What I often talk to actors about when we're trying to find like a way to like bring themselves into a role,
Yeah.
because, and I'm sure you see this as a director all the time or in casting all the time, you can tell when someone's playing the idea of it. You can tell when someone like is like, oh, I think that's what that is over there,
Yeah.
versus like, here's me in that circumstance. Here's my expression of this thing. And I think it just has a different truth to it, really, and it's certainly a different authenticity, And so I often say like a good starting point is everyone in the world is walking around trying to prove they're something,
Hmm.
trying to prove they're not something. The person who has to feel like they're the smartest person in the world is the person who's deeply, deeply trying to prove that they're not stupid. The person who's trying to prove that they're the most generous person in the world is the person who's trying to prove they're not a bad person.
Yeah.
They're not a selfish person.
Yeah.
And it's not necessarily that that thing that you're trying to prove you're not is true about you, but somewhere along the way we pick up these ideas about ourselves, these limiting beliefs, these core limiters that we think we're bad or we think we're not lovable or we think there's something wrong with us. And then it's like we go out in the world and and try to create this life or this persona proving that we're not that thing. Like, let me prove I'm not bad. Let me prove, and let me prove I am lovable. And then it actually becomes, and Michael Singer talks about this, it becomes that the wound, the thing you're trying to prove you're not, actually becomes the thing that your whole life is about. All of your relationships, every job you say yes to, every place you live, like it all actually is like the wound, the thing you're trying to avoid the most becomes the thing that your whole life revolves around.
Right. Like Carl Jung says it is until the unconscious becomes conscious, it will rule our lives and we will call it fate.
Mm,
Because we don't realize, and that's so much, and I have so much empathy for everyone that there's so much that is running us all the time that the lights haven't turned on to go, oh, that's what's running me here.
mm,
Oh, that was so deep in my upbringing. That was so in my conditioning. That was so what was modeled in my home that I didn't even realize there was something that was operating in the background of who I thought I was allowed to be or could be.
mm,
And the part of life kind of bumps us up against those unconscious parts that says, oh, you've been taught to perform goodness, or
mm,
you've been taught to um, keep small to stay safe. Like, you've been taught that it wasn't safe to connect or it wasn't safe to be in leadership. Here are all the things, you start to bump up against them through life. And then life goes, is that really true?
mm,
Or do you still want that to run you? You want something else? You want to try on something else? And gives us opportunities to try on new beliefs and say, well, what if we try believing something else and see what's possible?
mm.
You know?
Ah, and it's such a powerful thing to question what we believe.
Yeah.
So potent. And I think we're living in a time where, people just want to go, this is what I think, and that's it. Right. And it's such a potent, incredible exploration to be like, I wonder why I believe that.
Yeah.
Let me question that. And let me just consider, let me get curious about it. Not to say that I'll end up believing anything different in the end, but I'm not living my life with an undefended heart. And I'm not even approaching myself with an undefended heart if I can't open the door and ask the question.
Yeah.
And I do feel like that's life's job. Life's job is to ask the question. This
And see
you
what
want,
happens.
is this what you like? Here's a bunch of stuff. Here, life, your life as you see it right now is a result of everything that you believe. What do you think? You like it? You don't like it? You want to make some changes? You want to, you know what I mean?
Right. And they're experiments.
Yeah.
Have an experiment with me. See what this is like.
Yeah.
Try it on. I feel like when I am working with a client who's creating something for the first time, because I have so much experience in creating something from scratch, having an idea, a vision, showing up until it comes into fruition, right? It's easy for me to hold the space for someone of, yeah, yeah, you can make that. Yeah,
Yep.
you can walk right into it. Oh, yeah, yeah, yeah. That's gonna, yeah, those challenges, yep, they're for you. Doesn't mean stop, you know. Um, because I know what's possible. And I know that in my experience, I get aid from unseen forces whenever I'm creating something. And that is like the fun part. I'm going to learn something about myself. I'm not going to be the same person who started. And I'm going to get to have a communion with something that feels transcendent. That happens every time. And
Mm.
so it's exciting then to watch when someone goes through that experience. But really, that's what's happening anytime we go through a point of transformation. That's why people hire money coaches or relationship coaches. They're saying, my current belief system isn't helping me get what I want. And I need to upgrade my belief system in order to transform my life. Can you help me? Help me see where some of my belief systems might be limited, right?
Mm.
And help me be willing to do the work to shed some of the belief systems that don't serve me and open up to new belief systems that could serve me,
Ah,
right? And that's
yeah.
why they say success leaves clues. We want to go on a hunt and go, hey, you, you've done something incredible. What are you believing about yourself and about life? And
Yeah.
though my path might be different and what I'm here to create might be different, there may be things that I don't know that I'm holding that are barriers to
Yes.
a bigger life or a bigger creation or the truest desire of my heart.
And that's when we can get a little mad and agitated and triggered when
Hmm.
like someone else is living something that has that belief system where it's like, for example, I was just talking with an actor about this last night. She said, like this beautiful opportunity kind of fell on my lap, right? And she was saying, like, there's this opportunity to produce this film, and it kind of fell into my lap, and I'm so excited. And are people going to think I don't deserve it? Are people going to think I didn't work hard for it? And I'm like, oh, yep, there's the limiting belief. There it is. Like, where it can't be easy. And a lot of us have this, if I work hard, I'll get ahead, or I've got to earn it, or I've got to, like, and it's like there's this core belief that maybe I'm not worthy, maybe I'm not good enough. So if I go out in the world and I show everyone how hard I work and I climb that Mount Everest and it's really, really hard and it takes me years, then it's like I will have earned it, I will deserve it, and then I'll let myself receive it. And so I was challenging her belief system last night. I'm like, what if it's awesome when things get handed to people? And you can
Mm,
feel her whole body being like, no, it's not awesome. And it's like, but there are people out there right now who have the belief system that it is awesome when something gets handed to them. And then their whole life becomes evidence of that. And then there's other people who feel like, working hard is the ticket. And then your life becomes exactly that. You work really hard and then it works out. And it's like, oh, but I could just pick whichever one I want. It's like you can, but then you'll get to face, like, life will give you the opportunity to face your resistance to that thing. And that's where the evolution and the healing will be. So it's not like there's necessarily a right or wrong path, but there's always the opportunity for investigation of, like, is my belief system serving? And what I often find is the trick for me is I can't always get there if it's about serving myself. But if I know that my mission and my visions are about something bigger than me, then I'll totally get behind having it handed to me because I know what that impact will be, you know? And so sometimes it's just about looking at the wiring, like lifting up the hood of the car and being like, how am I wired here? And am I wired in a way that I feel like there's an evolutionary process where I could be wired in a new way and I can make that choice for myself?
Oh, it's so gorgeous. I love that word evolution that is part of the process. It makes me think about one of the great things about knowing another human being, like we've been friends for 10 years, maybe a little longer, is naturally watching how someone evolves over time,
Yeah.
right? Isn't it fun to see how anyone, whether it's a family member or a friend, to see the way that people change through the process of being alive?
You know, it's so funny you're saying that. When we first got on to chat with each other today, I was telling you, I was just trying to put up my Christmas tree, and there's a string of lights that's out. As I'm telling you this story, I had a flash of when we both lived on the Upper West Side. It must have been 6 years ago, maybe, or 7 years ago. I'm not sure. And I called you crying, and I came to your house crying because I was having a problem with my Christmas tree and I couldn't get it put up. I don't know if you would even remember this, but I was having a huge drama about it. And I was like crying that I'm having this day and I'm so stressed out. And now I can't get my Christmas tree put up. And I really wanted to. And Christmas is my favorite thing. And I can't believe it's like not working. And you were like, oh, come over and like, I'll give you a hug and we'll tell you like what you were so sweet about it. But like, talk about the evolutionary curve because today I was like, oh yeah, I'm having this thing with my Christmas day. It's like not my favorite thing to have happen. And you know what I said today? I'm like, I'll figure it out.
I'll figure it out.
Figure it out. And there's the evolutionary um baton I've handed to myself of being the damsel who needs to be saved and becoming the woman who's like, I'll figure out how to save myself. And
That's
that has been an evolutionary process that's, been my curriculum to walk through. And, there's no judgment about when we walk through our stuff. Like, it took me until my 40s to do it. Okay, say la vie. It's okay. The process takes how long it takes and it goes the way it goes. But it is that gift when people have been in your life for a really long time and they can be like, oh, yeah, I remember the days when, you'd come over for a hug because you'd get overwhelmed. And now I see the woman who isn't doing that.
right. And how every person has their own karma that is unique to their soul. And accepting ours, like as opposed to being, I have this conversation with myself constantly. So as opposed to being like mean or cruel to myself or beat up on myself when I see those patterns that show up again and again, I go, oh, baby, look at you. You're working through your karma. You're learning how to grow and evolve. All right, let's be really gentle and sweet with yourself here because there's an up-leveling process happening and it might go slow right now, but who's to say it might not go real fast next month? We don't know. But we're going to be with the self as it moves through its curriculum and its evolution. And as it learns how to shed some of the limiting beliefs that it doesn't even know it's clinging to, and it might be clinging to for dear life.
We're not dealing with the adult current version of ourself. We're dealing with a part of ourself that got frozen at a way earlier age.
Yeah.
So yeah, maybe, me at my age, I should know how to not collapse about a Christmas tree. Maybe, but the part of me that was having that experience wasn't 6 years ago me. It was like 20 years, 30 years, 40 years ago me. It was
Yeah.
it was the younger part of myself that got frozen inside some sort of event where my system got overwhelmed, right? And it doesn't have to be like a big T trauma. It can be any little thing where we just felt overwhelmed or felt shamed or felt not good enough or felt unlovable or felt like a burden. Any meaning, any story that we made meaning out of at any age, usually before the age of 7, then we'll freeze that part of ourselves, and we'll freeze that coping mechanism in our nervous system. And it requires the adult version of us to go back to that part of ourselves without judgment, without shame, without like, oh, we're still dealing with this. Oh, why are we not over this by now? It's like, because that part has been frozen that whole time.
And when it feels safe enough to say, okay, I'm ready to start to grow, even if I don't know how, but it needs a certain amount of safety. And
Yeah.
I want to say, willingness to go slow. Taking it back to what the emergency
Emergency ascension.
ascension,
Yeah,
right?
go slow.
I'm going to go to that part inside and say, hey, baby, hey, love, let's just look up. Let's open our heart. Let's start singing. And we'll just going to slowly take the next step
Mm.
and trust that life is right there and it wants to help us ascend. I think I've read to you that poem that came through. I got this poem that I feel like I received from my dad, and he said, that our family line doesn't just hand us the wounds and say, all right, now you got it, you deal with it. That they're working with us behind the veil to
Mm.
help us move through the curriculum from our lineage. So I love to think of that like it's not just me working through my karma by myself, but I got a whole team of people going, hey, we got this. We know you're doing a thing. It's our thing together, and we're working together as a team to get it done. So,
Yeah,
all
it's
right.
like passing the baton,
Mhm.
it's part of the race I get to run, but my teammates are right there,
Yeah.
and there's going to be someone else that gets that baton after me, whether it's through a project or through a human being or through my legacy or through the essence, the fragrance that I leave behind, and that's we're all on that process for each other, with each other, for our lineage, the ancestral mathematics of like the thousands of people and
Yeah.
thousands that we have come from that are cheering for us and pulling for us. It's like when you see the images of the New York Marathon and you see people crossing the finish line, and it's just this explosion of celebration. At every single moment of our life, when we feel the most alone, the most isolated, the most in our stuff, the most unlovable, the most unworthy, that celebration is happening. That cheer at the finish line is happening in the unseen. And if we can just know as we're making our ascension that we're not only doing it for ourselves, we're doing it for everyone who's come before us, everything that's going to come after us, then it starts to feel like I'm grateful to play my part, not how quickly can I get out of it, but I'm grateful to just open my heart, sing my song, and flip my flippers until I get all the way to the top.
Thank you, Natalie.
Mhm.
Thank you so much for listening, and thank you for being committed to showing up for your dreams.
If you would like to know more about what we are up to or find more information about our podcast, upcoming retreats, or anything else, please go check out our website, www.thecreateseries.com.
And you can come and jam with us on Facebook. I know we're still on Facebook. We have a Create community page, and that's Create C.R.E.A.T.E.
And if you want to check us out on Instagram, you can find me, Natalie, at Miss Natalie Roy.
And you can find me at Hangy Love. That's HANGGILOVE.
Keep on rocking your dreams, and we can't wait to connect with you more.